Welcome to A Plumber's Views on Life, Work, and Balance. Today we're meeting with John Akoyan, CEO of Rooter Hero Plumbing. And John, we wanted to talk about your morning routine, which is something that you do pretty religiously.
Yeah, thanks, Rudy. Love to talk about that. So it's funny because today one of my routines is to listen to Darren Daly, who's a motivational speaker and a self-improvement person that helps people. And he has a daily video that he records, and he called today's "Getting in the Zone," and that's kind of what the morning routine is getting your day started well and right. So one of the things I do is I wake up early. I wake up at anywhere between 5. I set my alarm at 5 o'clock, and sometimes I have a second alarm that hits at 5:15.
Okay.
So if I hit the snooze button, I got a louder one that's going to get me up at 5:15. But most times I'm up at 5, and my routine is pretty similar every day. I have about a 2-hour routine in the morning before I get ready, and it's as soon as I get up, I go downstairs and I drink a large glass of water, and that's just to get some liquid in my system. And after that, I make myself a cup of coffee while I'm listening to Darren Daly and watching his 5-minute morning video, which really inspires me. But once I'm done with that, the third thing I do is I meditate. I've meditated for many years, and it really helps me kind of imagine the results that I'm looking for. And I have a meditation that I switch back and forth. One of the ones I do is that I have a quick recording. It's a recording of my own voice that I've recorded, and it gets me into 5 zones. And the first zone is, I imagine the word love, and I imagine my family and the people and the universe, and I just want to start with the word love, because I believe that it's a peaceful place to be, and it really relaxes me. And then I focus on forgiveness. If there's anything or anybody I need to forgive, I focus and imagine that person and forgive that person, or forgive myself sometimes for making mistakes. And then I start imagining some of my personal and professional goals. And the whole meditation takes me about 10 minutes. Doesn't take me too long, but I start imagining all the results I want in life. I imagine the blessing from God, which is my purpose, working on my purpose. I imagine myself being very healthy. And then once I'm done with my meditation, I get right into reading the Bible. And I start every day by reading a verse out of Proverbs, and then I also read a verse out of the New Testament or the Old Testament. Not a verse, but a paragraph. And spend about 10-15 minutes with the Bible. I pray, and I start getting into my journal, and I have a gratitude journal. It's actually here with me. And I line up the pages, and I start writing all of my gratitudes. I usually think about 3 gratitudes that I write down. I also have a learning journal. What did I learn from today or yesterday?
Wow.
And I write down what I learned from my experiences, why it was important to me, what further progress I want to make there, and my first action. But I'll typically fill up my gratitude journal, and I go from the back to the front, because sometimes I'm writing my learnings from the beginning to the end, and I write my gratitudes from the end to the front, and when the two meet, my journal's done.
Okay, and John's talking about starting at the back of the journaling book and writing forward, so they'll meet somewhere in the middle of the journal book.
Somewhere. Usually my gratitudes are not as much as my learnings. So my learnings are a lot more, because I spend time learning and writing down all of the things I've learned, and then I go back to my notes and I read my notes. Like, here's a book I'm reading John Maxwell's book right now, and I wrote some notes out of his book. I wrote this, and I'll go back and I'll read this every so often. So in the mornings, I spend about 15 minutes flipping through my journal and reading my notes, what I learned. And then I also spend about 10 minutes looking at my gratitudes and writing down gratitudes.
And you're a big believer in writing things down too.
I write them down. Yeah, I believe in writing it down because I've learned that your right hand or your dominant hand is connected to your brain. So if we write things down, we actually learn it a lot better. And I teach that in our TNT class. I don't do the TNT, but in our sales boot camp, I always encourage the guys to write down notes and then read it.
Right. But let me go back to the meditation for a second. When you meditate, are you clearing your mind or are you using visualization?
Well, I can't make my mind stop. So it's literally impossible to meditate and not think. I've tried to do that. Some people believe in that. But it's for me it's literally impossible.
I'm with you.
I cannot shut the mind down. So I rather use the mind to imagine, because I believe that if I could see it in my mind, I could make it happen with my hands and my hard work. So that's what I do. I just visualize what I want. You know, I visualize where this company is going to be in 10 years. I visualize. Right now, I'm visualizing our new hub that we're building.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I take a few minutes to walk through the rooms and see the people and all of the training center and everything else. So it really helps me imagine what I need to work on. And today I was actually working on the civil engineer for the hub, right? So every time I visualize it, I come back and I somehow am working on something that I'm visualizing.
So you see it first, then you make it happen, then you bring it into reality.
Usually that's what ends up happening. So, you know, after my gratitude journal and looking over my notes, it's usually around 7 o'clock from 5:15 or 5 o'clock when I wake up. All of what I just mentioned, I get done by about 7. 6:30 or 7, and then I hit the treadmill, or I have this machine called the Vasper, which is a 22-minute workout. So I'll do that. I'll get some blood flowing, and I'll do the Vasper, and then right around 7:30 I hit the shower. I shower, I shave, and I get ready, and I'm either on my phone or on my computer at 8 o'clock, or right before 8 or something like that, to get my work started.
5 days a week, 7 days a week?
I do this every single day. Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes on the weekends I start a little later. It depends on if we've gone out the night before, or I stayed up late, or had a few too many glasses of wine. That doesn't happen during the week, but on the weekends, sometimes I'll start at 6 instead of 5.
So John, any tips for somebody who wants to start their morning off the way you do? I mean, I doubt you started with a 2-hour routine from the beginning, or did you?
I started with a routine. I've always had alone time in the mornings because, I mean, typically my family's up at 6:30 and they're ready to start their day. And sometimes I drop off the kids at school as well, so I have to wake up a little earlier. And sometimes I have meetings at 7 o'clock and I have to wake up earlier, or I can't do it. But a lot of times I do my best to make up the items that I've missed, that I didn't get done. For example, if I have an early morning meeting, instead of reading the Bible, I might listen to it in the car on my way to the meeting, and just spend the time doing the journaling. And I might listen to Darren Daly in the car as well on my way. But I will take the time to do the journaling and the other things. But you just have to make it a habit, and I've made it a habit, and my days are always filled with me doing this activity.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing with us today, John. And again, I know you do this every single day. It's your routine, and you've been doing it for a long time. And again, hopefully someone can take something from this and start their morning off the same way.
Yeah, I definitely encourage everybody to start their morning off and get in the zone before they get to work, because I think it makes a big difference.
Sounds great. Thank you, John.
All right, thank you.